Good afternoon. At the hour of 5 o'clock has arrived. Tuesday, Wednesday, May 27th. Good afternoon. At the hour of 5 o'clock has arrived. Tuesday, Wednesday, May 27th.
Thank you.
We're now in session. I will call a meeting to order with our first item being the approval of the minutes for the May 13th, 2026 meeting. Do I have a motion?
Motion first.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Our next item, we're going to, out of courtesy, no one objected, we're going to move to item 43126 on the second page, so that the Director of Safety wouldn't have to be here all evening.
Item 0431-26, communication for the Department of Community Safety to present quarterly reports of all department activities, grant applications received, applied and pending, and expenditures to the Public Safety and Licensing Committee with first presentation on or before June 1st, 2026.
Chair. All right, so thanks committee members for having me this evening. Just providing a brief overview. You all have the printout. I forgot that Alder Frazier was online, otherwise I sent it by email for everyone. But just a general overview, and if there's anything specific that you're actually looking for during these presentations, quarterly, by all means let me know. Fairly broad what the communication was, so all is a broad term. But anyway, just briefly overview, got four main points in the actual report, and then on the second page, the second separated page actually just has our expenditures to date instead of just for the first quarter. But the first quarter does cover January 1st through March 31st, so I expect that the second quarter, which ends in June, I'll be back in July to present this the second time about what's happened since. But we've had one custom notification those first few months and one relocation facilitated. Feel free to ask what a specific thing is. If you don't recall from previous presentations, we've had 6 shooting or conflict reviews during this quarter. One of the goals has been this year, in terms of our budgetary goals, was to improve and expand the scope. So the reason we're using this dual link, just shooting and conflict. Previously, we would only review gunfire incidences, shots fired, individuals fired, non-fatal shootings. Our hope this year is to smoothly integrate non-firearm related conflicts that usually you might be discussing here as relates to assaults and bars or other places, because those are also precipitating events that eventually escalate, if not interrupted, into actual gun violence and shots fired. So we're trying to get those integrated into the process of our shooting or conflict reviews. We had 22 incidents that we reviewed during that time, so that's corroborated instances of shots fired. Just because one's called in doesn't necessarily mean that shots will be confirmed or bullets will be found. And in that time, we've identified 4 high-risk individuals that we want to conduct custom notification. So those are usually folks that we've identified in the particular incident that have a risk or potential for retaliation based on a constellation of factors. We've also conducted 2 crisis intervention and follow-ups. Typically, the way those happen, or normally how those might happen, is when we're, in our day-to-day operations, kind of monitoring what's happening within the community and on social media. So, put it in lack of better terms, if we see someone kind of crashing out online, particularly those who are associated with groups and or making threats, and we have to kind of decipher what is being said in those social media commentaries, we'll reach out and engage and try and bring that person down. And particularly, we'll get referred to sometimes for folks who are actually just like, my son is out of control right now. Have you seen this post? Can you talk to him? And that's what that looks like. And then we have 1 post-homicide support and outreach. We've had 1 homicide this year. That was immediately afterwards, we engage with the family to provide support and kind of help them navigate those next steps. Additionally, we did 2 tabling. We've had 2 tabling events and 1 outreach and educational event. The outreach and educational event was in January. Remember that really, really, really cold night? We actually hosted a movie screening of the film documenting the body politic, which really documents how to build a violence prevention ecosystem, which occurred in Baltimore. And then provided an opportunity for education and questions for the community. So it was myself, Ray Torton, and DC, Jesse Matoyer, participating in that. Obviously, interagency collaboration is a core component of everything we do. So We continue to engage with Racine County at every opportunity that we can, particularly following the homicide. We were made aware of several teens who are really struggling and acting out in ways that was not typical, so we reached out to the county to find out what resources they had available for them and tried to facilitate those connections. And then also conducted 3 relational violence collaborative meetings in conjunction with the sexual assault review team, which I believe Alder Davis has often participated in. For those of you who aren't aware, last year we started these very specific relational violence collaborative meetings, which is primarily focused on intimate partner and intra-family violence, because we saw in 2024 kind of a pendulum starting to swing, or at least the pie starting to expand in terms of the portion of violence that's happening in the community that was related to domestic and intimate partner violence. So bringing together the same folks who operate in those spaces as similar to the Violent Crime Reduction Initiative that was really focused on that group violence interruption. Our hope is to bring folks together, identify some strategies as necessary, and if not, be able to advocate for resources and strategies that are more effective and conducive to addressing that particular kind of violence. In terms of trends, what we're seeing this year, we see a notable increase, as has kind of been the trend over the last couple of years, of intimate partner and intra-family violence and related gun violence. Also earlier this year, there was a consequential number of early to mid-20-year-old high-risk individuals who have either successfully transitioned out of the community via relocation and or have been arrested for high-risk behavior. However, as a result of that, there's kind of created this vacuum where these younger, less higher risk, but looking to either make a name for themselves or some notoriety, are looking to fill in that vacuum. And that creates a new population that we need to either both understand who they are, who they're connected with, and how we engage and kind of interrupt that. So that is always a part of our group violence intervention strategy, of constantly recognizing who's new, who's engaged, and who's filling the spaces that potentially been emptied out either by somebody, extracting in a healthy way or extracting in a way that requires accountability. I think the other piece that we've seen a lot of is conflicts and fights between teenage girls. A lot of which happens in the schools. Obviously, there was an incident this last weekend outside of the city, but this has been a persistent sort of thing throughout most of the year, and try to get a handle on both what is happening there, who can we engage and support to interrupt that, and who can we partner with, because for the most part, when it comes to juveniles, that is on the county side, but that's not something we just want to ignore because they're not necessarily our area of focus. So that is something that we're constantly monitoring and looking to try and process through some strategies and interventions that we can do around. In terms of upcoming and ongoing priorities, obviously we're constantly trying to improve our partnerships and lines of communication to address these emerging challenges, some of which are like the teen takeovers, not the street takeovers, because that's strictly a law enforcement response, but the teen ones where it's not necessarily a problem that teens gather in a space, but it's also can be a problem if there isn't adequate supervision or chaperones there. And then also trying to address the jail to community, community to jail conflicts. Obviously, I mentioned that there's a good deal of folks who've been arrested in the time period during this particular quarter, but that doesn't mean that when they're in the jail together, that conflicts are potentially rising, and those conflicts don't have some sort of impact within the community. But this particular intervention around that has actually occurred this last month, so I'll say that for next July's quarterly report, so I don't want to lead into it. And then obviously always trying to expand our ecosystem for intimate partner violence, and identifying the gaps within the systems to improve our responsiveness and outcomes. In terms of grant updates, we are still, believe it or not, pending a response on the fiscal year 25 CBIPI grant, which is the 4-year, $2 million grant. We are, based on recent inquiries, we have learned that denial letters or communications are going out, and it's a rolling basis grant awarding, so no good news is good news for us at this point. So if we haven't heard a denial, that means we're still in the running and still potential to receive those funds. But that is the majority of it. Then you all have the year-to-date budget there. Obviously, we're not halfway through the year, but this is to date, and we're, I only have 35% of the budget that was allocated. We did have one transition in terms of staffing, so there was a vacancy for about a month of that. and the person took the ground running. Followed it. Any questions or comments, or any, information that you'd like to hear more of next month, or in June, July?
Turn it over to Alder Weigel, please.
Just a question. So the intervention and follow-up, you gave the example of like a family calling and saying, I see disturbing things on social media. Like, how do families, know that that resource is available to them to call you? And can schools refer if they see things, or is it just a, like, parent guardian?
I mean, anybody who knows that we exist, we certainly want to know, because we'll get it to whomever needs to know. So if it's happening in the schools, or someone gets it to me and it's a juvenile thing, then I'll certainly share it with Maurice Horton, so that he can use the resources on the county side to support that youth. But there's not like a, you know, if you're seeing this, call this, but I think that's maybe something we can do a better job of letting folks know, like, hey, if you see somebody that's really having a hard time on social media and you're worried about their safety or them engaging in something risky, particularly as it relates to group violence, then yes, we want to know.
Yes. I have kind of a two-part question. So you kind of touched on it earlier. So the county kind of does the teens and you guys take care more of the adults?
Yes.
Okay. And then can you kind of explain, like, the process, like, what is the caseload that you guys have? Like, how many of these individuals that you're kind of following along with, and what is the process of that?
So we have a few different tracks. So we have an outreach sort of group that is, we recognize that are high risk but haven't necessarily like committed to receiving the full intensive outreach support, which would be like, you said, yes, you want this, we're gonna do everything we can to get you out. So we don't have anybody this year well, we had one person who got a custom notification when we were following up for the outreach, and they said, yes, they want support. By the time we got a hold of them, they had already been revoked, which was unfortunate. So we don't, right now, neither of the intensive outreach specialists have people on their caseloads that have said yes to support, but each have a handful of folks who are there engaging with constant outreach, either by proactively saying, hey, I'm still here, I'm supportive for you, or when we're identifying those folks who are kind of struggling in those crisis phases, but they don't necessarily, they're not quite to the risk level of, like, they're actively involved in a cycle of violence, where that's that kind of intensive support they need, but they might need it just in that moment. So for the two, like we identified here, you know, one was kind of having a mental health crisis, you know, was on social media, hanging out the window, driving up and down Bird Avenue, like serious stuff. So like we deployed, went out to his house, sat down with his father for a while, and him, and kind of processed through like what everything was going on. He subsequently, at the support of his family, kind of moved out of town and kind of got out of that particular cycle. So we didn't like pull him in terms of the ongoing intensive case management. And fortunately this year, we haven't had as many as like previous years incidences where we are identifying folks and getting customs out for folks that are saying yes to the support. So oddly enough, kind of at the end of last year, we had, I think it was 4 and 4 cases, 4 or 5 cases on each. And as the year kind of wrapped up, each of those cases terminated in either naturally or unnaturally, where they ended up, you know, having a legal consequence that had to follow through. So several moved state, several others were arrested or had pending cases when we got them in the first place, and that case terminated. So we kind of had a clean slate to start the year.
I mean, I had an individual that actually lived in my district that I believe was on your caseload, and I believe he unfortunately is incarcerated.
Yeah.
So, do you follow along with that?
We do actually. So even the folks who we, you know, have kind of, they're in custody for a while, we won't see them for a minute. We still remain in contact and check in with them occasionally, stay connected with their families because that's what they're concerned about, making sure that, you know, the tether that they have to the community doesn't get completely broken, because that'll just make it that much more difficult when they return to integrate and perhaps choose a healthier and safer path.
What is the oldest age group you work with?
I mean, we don't preclude anybody from participating. The youngest we'll work with is obviously 18 because we're not working with juveniles. But we will work with those who are like preparing to transition into adulthood from a legal sense. Generally, because this type of, the kind of behaviors that we're targeting kind of terminate naturally with age. you know, we wouldn't generally have too many older people, but we have had folks in their early 40s that we've worked with. Beyond that, kind of like council is most probably effective.
Are there any other questions from anyone?
I don't have any questions. I just want, what you presented in my email, please.
Well, no one, oh,
Yes.
So my guess is that we kind of took your presentation out of the sequence on the agenda tonight, so I'm sorry that I got here a few minutes late. I kind of expected you would not be speaking until about 5:30. I didn't even expect you to speak. My request was more for the committee to formally request that, like the police department, I appreciate that you were able to present that work, but I think everybody got ahead of everybody on this one. So my communication really was, like the police department that is to give quarterly reports to the public safety and licensing. I was hoping that the committee would make a recommendation to the council that you would start making quarterly presentations as well, but then I.
The lady asked, I will provide.
And I know I did have that June 1st date, on there. And I didn't need for you to, present by June 1st, I meant more for having discussion for you to present
That's all
by
right.
June 1st. So, well, thank you for being prepared, for that. I'm hoping that the committee will make a recommendation that, like the police department, that is to present quarterly either to the public safety and licensing or to the common council, that your department would do that as well. And the reason for that request is your department is a newly, property tax funded, department, so we want to make sure that we have a full understanding of what you do and what your resources are, what your resources you need. I do have a question regarding the grant money. Seeing you applied for grants, pay salaries and benefits, as you had done previously, all grant funded. Now that you are levy funded, what would you be doing with the grant money that you received?
Yeah, well, we would still be applying, well, the budget we submitted for the federal one still entailed, salary and benefits too. So in theory, if we were to receive that, then that would offset, you know, the city would. So that would certainly be the intention. If we were to, you know, pursue grants that wouldn't necessarily cover that, then that would kind of fulfill out other aspects. So like this year, we've been relatively lean in terms of our outreach capabilities, just because we haven't had the, you know, city resources to do that. We were hoping that, you know, either one or two grants would kind of accomplish that. Fortunately, we can still do what we are able to do with what we have. But, you know, what we were doing last year, several outreach events, organizing things around, you know, trauma and mental health, and specifically targeting activities and events for, you know, specific groups, whether that's young men or older men or women or domestic violence, things like that. That's what we would do with those additional funds, as well as additional supports for the people that we're working with, whether that's, last year we did, hopefully we don't have to, you know, that the situation doesn't come up this year as much, but last year we supported several families with, after homicides occurred, and kind of help them navigate that, because that is a huge burden. Not only have you just lost somebody completely unexpected and in a horrific way, having to navigate the actual practical components after that, including the cost of it, can add additional stress. So that was one of the resources that we hope to do with those grants.
Thank you. Are there any other questions?
Question for the committee. Will you be making some kind of recommendation with this item?
Yes, at the point when it's appropriate, yes. We would ask. Yes.
When it's appropriate?
Well, I'll go through the items that are currently on the agenda.
Well, this is the item that's on the agenda, correct?
Yeah, separate from the motion.
Yes, separate.
So is this presentation separate from the communication I submitted? And that's why I'm not really late, but my item was at the bottom of the agenda, so I'm kind of surprised to see him presenting when I came in.
Okay, he won't, yes.
Does that make
For
sense?
his convenience, we agreed to let him go first. Yeah, Folks, no, you're right, we'll come, your item will get to, that's why I say when we get to that point.
So now that he's presented, can we take up my item, so I don't have to just?
Fine. Item number
For her
431.
convenience as well, why not?
Okay, sure. Item number 43126, communications sponsored by Alder Widener for the Department of Community Safety to present quarterly reports of all department activity, grant applications received, applied and pending, and expenditures to the Public Safety and Licensing Committee with the first presentation on or before June 1st.
I was gonna say, there's not a staff recommendation, but we can,
Yeah.
okay, second.
And if I may,
Sure.
I think part of the reason I felt like I had to present because it said on or before June first, and I was like, well, if that's gonna happen, then I've gotta be here to do that. So, that was the, but I think it all works out, because either way, the second quarter will end in June, and I start to be back.
Any further discussion or comments
What's the motion?
to approve? Would you repeat? Yeah, just have
I
to
guess
approve
so
it as
moved, yeah.
written,
Yeah,
that he'll present quarterly.
quarterly, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, as stated.
Wow, I don't usually get what I want, thank you.
Any opposed? Seeing none? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, here, the motion that you asked for carries. Or the item that you asked for. Okay, sir, we'll take the next item.
Item 0404-26, communication, submitting a new application for a Class B and a Class C wine license for Banquet Hall Brindis LLC, doing business as Banquet Hall Brindis, located at 3319 Washington Avenue, Georgina Posada, agent, 13th District.
May the applicant please come forward? Attorney Pumpkin will now swear you in.
All right. If you could raise your right hand. Yep. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? And then if you could state your name. And then I understand you'll be translating, so could you state your name as well? Thank you.
Okay, please give us some overview of your business plan, things such as hours of operation, exactly what your organization will actually be doing specifically, number of employees, things of that nature. I'm assuming that you put these items in your business plan already.
Solo, y yo estoy con 12 años, otro negocio, otro salón para en Kenosha, y pues decidí comprarlo para que la gente de Westin tenga un espacio donde ellos puedan celebrar sus eventos familiares, como son quinceañeras, bodas, bautizos, primeras comuniones, cumpleaños, que se sientan a gusto en un lugar, ¿verdad?, donde tengan sus eventos.
So she says that she has had a business in Kenosha, another banquet hall, for 12 years now. This building was vacant for a few years, and she decided to purchase it. The events that would be here would be like birthday parties, quinceañeras, weddings, any family events. So she just wants to provide the community with a safe and
How many employees will you have? What are your hours of operation?
Extendí mis horarios porque en algún momento se llego a necesitar.
So typically it's on Saturdays, sometimes on Sundays, but she did extend the hours listed on there, because it was recommended in the case that there were an event requested during the weekday, but it is not something that happened.
A question from the committee, please.
Hi, I'm Alder of the district. So, I guess I was confused. You guys have been there for a while, right? Or are you new to the building?
For 2 years.
Okay, that's what I thought, thank you. Okay, so I had remembered you from coming in previously, and I just wanted to say I've never had any issues, or complaints in the area, so far, everything has been great. So, thank you.
Otherwise,
Just one of the things I just wanted to make sure was clarified, and I think it is, but, so this license would mean then they can no longer bring in liquor like they were before, but then what, like on the application, it says that those people will bring in a cooler. So just
so
to be
what's
clear,
gonna be in
like,
the cooler?
but that, you know what I mean, that they're
Mhm.
purchasing it and then, versus a party where people just all bring in alcohol.
Yeah, so, clear on what you're asking.
Mhm.
Or they asking to be able to serve any type of alcohol.
Right, just wondering, yeah.
that when we had the meeting. The hours. Okay. Yeah.
We did have a meeting last week Friday, we attended here as well, and that was clarified, so yes, we would be distributing.
Alder Davis.
Thank you. Are there plans to hire another employee in case you're not available for the operator's license, for the liquor license?
Yes, there are plans for 2 more of our.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Can we hear from the attorney?
Sure, so we had a good neighbors meeting with Ms. Posada on Friday, May 22nd. We discussed a lot of the common issues that arise in the alcohol industry. I also have a little bit more information on why that they need a liquor license now. So the state of Wisconsin changed its laws as of January 1st of this year regarding the use of what were called barn weddings. So there were private events that were invite only, that are weddings, baby showers, baptisms, things like that. People could bring their own alcohol to. Event spaces could rent it out as a private party that is invite only, and that was completely acceptable. Due to various reasons that are too lengthy to get into here, that law changed. And as of January 1st, any business that holds itself out as a rental space to the public, even for private events, needs to either have a no-sale event permit, which limits them to 6 events a year that have alcohol, or they have to have a liquor license that would allow them to do the things that they would like to do with the business. So whether that be a beer and wine license, like in this case, or a full liquor license. So they were operating completely legally. The law changed out from under them, and here they are applying, trying to follow the law. During the meeting, we talked about the needs to make sure that they buy their alcohol from wholesalers and to serve it with licensed bartenders.
So, you said you're intending on hiring additional licensed bartenders, but at the moment, you only have yourself?
Yes, because the applications for the city of Racine were just filled yesterday. Currently, we only have 2.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to make sure that you will be legal when you first open up. For example, if you're not there, then you really couldn't serve alcohol unless the licensed bartender was on premise. That's why I'm asking. If there's not gonna be a lapse in time, or is there going to?
So we're just waiting on the city of Rick license.
License for you or for the other bartenders? Because I just heard you say that right now, no one has a license in Racine, just Kenosha license, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So you couldn't serve the alcohol right now because you're not licensed in Racine, because it's by county.
And so this is what it- We're waiting to get it.
Then you're going to open. Okay. Any other comments from the committee?
I think I saw they also need approval for health and,
I'm sorry?
health and building department, so
Oh, that hadn't been approved either yet?
it doesn't look like.
The building department, because they have been operating as a banquet hall for some time now, they have to add liquor or alcohol to that occupancy, but expected it to go very smoothly. The health department, due to kind of the cooler situation, they were going to speak with the applicant and get that, sorted out. Even if this committee and this council approves the licenses aren't printed until all of the signups are done. So typically something that's a matter of, paperwork or a week or two of work, would be something that that this committee could still approve if it so chose, and it would not grant a license without having those approvals.
So based on what you're saying, if we wouldn't have to issue a license conditionally based on, like, say, 6 months, everything has to be done. We don't have to do that. is what
You would not have to.
Okay. I don't have any other questions. Any other questions from the committee?
Make a motion to approve.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, any, I'm sorry? I thought I heard, okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, motion carries. Good luck to you, and remember, you have to get your license and,
They're on the next one.
I'm sorry?
They're the next item too.
Okay. So let's go to that one. I was gonna wait for Sam, but I just wanted, I'm sorry.
She just had a clarifying question. She said that in Kenosha, with her having the license, this kind of license, she didn't need the bartending license. Is that the same in Racine, or?
Yes, so state law for the agent, and it's virtually only the agent, there's a couple exceptions. The license that has your name on it, the business name on it, and the Class B counts as your bartending license. Anyone else that you have serving alcohol either needs to be directly supervised by the agent, or they need to have their own bartending license. We recommend, but cannot require, as many of your staff have their bartending license, but your license for this application and this liquor license counts as your bartending license.
But yours, for clarification, I understood you just to say that if no one else has a license, she has to be there and
Yes.
serving alcohol.
Yep, and she has to be actively supervising.
That, next slide.
Item 0385-26, communication submitting a renewal application for a public dance hall license, Banquet Hall Brindis LLC, doing business as Banquet Hall Brindis LLC, located at 3319 Washington Avenue, Georgina Posada, agent, 13th District.
If there are no questions, since we're covering the same issue, I'm looking for a motion and a second.
Motion to approve.
There's a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
And, the clerk's office or police, I'm sorry, the attorney's office can explain the steps that we go through next, which includes going to the city council for full approval.
So the next date for the city council meeting is going to be the 2nd of June. It's at 6 p.m. You are not required to attend. You can if you'd like to. They take the recommendation and decide, all the council people will vote on the license itself, whether to approve or deny. If you're approved, then we just wait on all the sign-offs from all the different departments that they mentioned, like building and health and all those to come through. Once that's complete, then we can grant your license and we'll let you know that it's ready.
Is it 6 p.m., right?
6 p.m. on June 2nd, yep.
Thank you and good luck. Next item, please.
Item 0406-26, communication submitting a change of agent application for a cigarette, tobacco, and electronic vaping device license for Walgreens Company, doing business as Walgreens, number 07437, located at 3825 Durand Avenue, Kristen Hansen, agent, 11th District.
Thank you. I assume you're the applicant and the attorney will swear you in.
All right, if you could raise your right hand. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. And then if you could state your full name? Thank you.
Thank you. This is a change of agent for a tobacco license. Are there any, something, a change of agent, they already have a license or so, are there any questions for the committee? Do you have any questions?
No.
Is there anything from the attorney's office?
I have nothing.
In that case, I would be looking for a motion.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And pretty much as we just told the other applicants, that process will go full council, you'll be notified. If you don't have any questions,
Thank you.
thank you. Next item, please.
Item 0405-26, communication submitting a renewal application for a massage establishment license, Quixia Song, doing business as Main Massage, located at 1324 North Main Street, Quixia Song, owner, 4th District.
Because this is simply a renewal application, the applicant is not required to appear. But are there any questions from the committee?
Any concerns ever?
We do not have sufficient evidence that could be used to revoke this license.
One way to say it.
To explain, when we grant a license, we evaluate the application, reports of departments of the county and other agencies, and we say if we believe or don't believe they're going to follow the law. To revoke or non-renew a license, we need hard evidence to say that you are actively not following the law or breaking health codes or something like that. We do not have that in this situation.
Therefore, if anyone is making a connection here, he's just explained why this one goes through. That makes sense, trying to just, so, okay. Well, we need a motion. Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Is there a second? I'm sorry? Could you repeat, please, Alder Frazier?
Second.
Although, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
Alder Frazier made the second motion, so motion passes.
Item 0409-26, communication requesting the appearance of Trayvon Dye, actually should be Dye, for a new operator's license.
Being that he's not here, we can move this to some of the agenda. Come back.
Moving on to item 0391-26, communication submitting renewal requests for intoxicating liquor and fermented malt beverages for the 2026 to 2027 year.
Does anyone on the committee have any questions, concerns about the renewal list?
I have a question for
Yes.
attorneys. I'm not attorney. First off is, when the council approves a license with the geographical exception for years going on, they're able to just renew?
Yes, until they lose a license, until it's a new business applying for that license.
Oh.
But, unless I'm incorrect, you can
Oh.
correct me.
So if it's, I believe it is if there's a, similar to a quota capped liquor license where there's a conditional surrender reissue for someone buying the existing business, they would be able to access that grandfathered in license. But yes, once a license is granted, unless we have grounds to non-renew, they keep being granted, year after year, and so that would apply for the quotas as well, or for the geographic quota and the numerical quota for the Class A's.
Thank you.
Alder Frazier, did you have any questions about the license renewal?
I do have a list from the Health Department for a couple of the items that are on this renewal list. American Legion Post 546. I'm not sure if they have sent this email, this is the 20th, but they were unsuccessful in entering for their inspection. They've left door tags, emailed, and tried calling the agent, which the phone number was apparently disconnected. They did email some folks and have been unsuccessful in getting a hold of them to renew their inspection. They're not allowing the food permit to be renewed unless they complete a successful inspection. So as of the 20th, I did email Environmental Health Director Sadie to find out if they were successful, but I don't have information back yet. They did, however, put their renewal in for their liquor license. Similarly, Select 627 did put their renewal in. They do have it noted here with Health, they do have inconsistent hours, and they were unable to inspect that business as well.
Is it possible to hold the renewal until the resource is done?
That would be my question.
I believe so. I am looking to see what we did, but there were a few businesses last year that had issues with their FEINs that we did hold over. All of the licenses will have to have some sort of action taken on them by June 30th. So there are some kind of periods of time for the just practical realities where we only have so many meetings to do it. But let me take a look to see what we did last year to make sure that we're staying consistent. Yeah, so what we did last year is that we noticed up a potential non-renewal and sent it to the applicant and had them appear at the meeting. This would have been the June 11th meeting, so that would have been that first meeting in June. If it were something that the committee would like to do for these two applicants, it would be consistent with what has previously occurred, and it often is a more forceful push to get into compliance. So it is something that has helped before.
Okay. This is new territory. Do we have to finish with the motion of what the list, or can we make this motion, or can we approve it with the two exceptions? Which is
So I would suggest that if there is to be the two items pulled out, that each one is made as a separate motion saying that you want to defer to the next meeting so that the applicant can be here to discuss their renewal. And then after those two are pulled out, either approve the remainder, kind of like what they did at Public Works and Services last night for the alleys and streets.
Is it two separate?
One motion for each business to be pulled out.
Okay. So I would make a motion that American Legion be pulled until they appear on June 10th regarding their food permit inspection.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Would anybody like to make a motion on select 626 being pulled out?
Make a motion for,
I'll make,
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of select 626 being pulled out, please say aye.
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 Thank you. Motion carries. And then we would need a motion on the remaining items in front of it, item 039126.
motion to approve?
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further questions or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. And we're ready for our next item.
Item 0427-26, communication submitting a list of liquor licenses which have not submitted renewal paperwork for intoxicating liquor and fermented malt beverages for the 2026 to 2027 year. So these would be the licenses that have not yet submitted a renewal application for us in completion. I do have a note on one specifically that is in there from health as well, for the Barrel. That one was unsuccessful for entering for inspection. I know that they tried to speak with the owner. The owner was not sure what would be happening with the business. We have since been informed by the owner that he does intend to or is in the process of selling that business currently. So I believe by the end of this month, if not next month. So he does not have any wish to renew that liquor application for that business. My only note.
Did River Run, Buffalo Wild Wings, and Amos all close?
So I know Amos Los Tacos has now become the Butcher and Barrel.
Yeah.
So that is a different business in this, by the same owner in the address of Amos Los Tacos.
Yep.
Buffalo Wild Wings also.
River runs right by my house. That one's been closed since the summer.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a motion at this time? Ready to make a motion? Or are there any other questions? Seeing none? Motion?
Motion to approve?
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion or question? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And our next item, please.
Item 0392-26, communication on behalf of the City of Racine Police Department for the licenses premise report.
In reference to the report, we've had a couple fights, a lot of noise complaints. The one bar that keeps showing up on the report is Face the Soul, with the noise complaints and people hanging outside the bar. The thing with that is, when we respond to that, for the most part, with our presence, they leave. When we ask them to turn the music down, they do. And then when we enter the business, they're always in compliance with bartenders and our Class B license being posted. We have no violation in reference to the Class B license, just the cost of service in reference to the noise and people hanging outside.
That has been an ongoing problem for years.
That's really all I have.
Are there any other? Yes.
Does there have to be a violation to request a good neighbor meeting?
I'll turn it over to you.
Sure. So for the Good Neighbors meetings, they are set up after a formal expression of concern. So we would need to have a motion to call them in. And then at the formal expression of concern, there would then need to be a second motion to refer them to a Good Neighbors meeting. I'm kind of pulling up to see if their history here, if they've had one, and they've not. They have roughly about one call in a year, which keeps them at either 0 or 1 strikes. So they've not, I don't see that they have been to a Good Neighbors meeting. But yes, it would be a meeting from now is when we would have to make that motion.
I've just heard anecdotally from other businesses in the area that there are problems.
Alder Fraser, would you like to speak to the issue of Taste of Soul? Because it's in your district.
Yeah, so I get a lot of people who reach out to me about Taste of Soul, and I'm just curious. It's kind of the similar thing where people complain about either noise or people hanging outside, and then the police department not doing anything. And I guess I don't know. Do you guys have a recommendation on like how we can rectify that or show people that, their needs are being tended to? It's for Sergeant Ortiz, sorry.
So in reference to like enforcement, we'd have to see some kind of violation, right? Just them hanging out in the street, yeah, we could tell them to move. If they decide to just stand there, then we could maybe issue a citation, but we would have to see some kind of violation. Like if they don't have an alcohol, like open beer out on the sidewalk, if we don't have that, then obviously we can't enforce it. When we get there, people start moving. Then we, like, once we go inside to the bar, the music gets turned down, they comply, they're compliant with the license. So we would have to see some kind of violation for us to act on it. Can we be a little bit more with maybe parking violations and stuff like that? That might deter some people from going there. But without seeing the violations happening outside, for us to be able to enforce, it's going to be hard for us to just like issue some citations or make arrests in reference to offenses that are happening.
Any other comments from the committee?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any 2 seconds, any further discussion? Any other comments? Seeing none?
I was just saying, can we keep it on our radar to potentially invite them in if we continue to see?
Well, yeah, it'll come up on a police report every month, every
I
meeting.
mean, even without violations, this is just a pattern
Well,
of calls.
you could, but as I alluded to, this has been going on quite some
Which
time.
is why I'm asking the question.
Yeah, you could, but
Next item.
But then again, folks are calling, but law enforcement has not witnessed anything, so it's going off of hearsay. So how will we try to move forward on that? I don't think that's proper. So it's until that we get something in the police report says we've actively discovered this incident, we've complained, and we put it on here, we just have to go off, okay, they responded and folks move along, which is, I believe, is a good mark from hearing that when law enforcement shows up, they disperse or whatever, the music is handled, so it's not something where people are being reluctant to, follow what's asked of them.
I guess my thought would be, there are lots of businesses that don't have the law enforcement constantly called to get people to move or to turn the music back on.
True, but there also are, establishments where folks will continuously call, and some, they are closed their eye and plug their ears. So we have to go on what's actually happening, what is
Keep it on the radar.
Yeah.
Keep it on the radar.
yeah, we'll definitely do that.
Yeah.
I think that's our obligation to do that, as
Yeah.
well as taking the other taxpayers into consideration, the businesses, the people who live there, et cetera, et cetera. Keep it just and fair for all, I think is what we're trying to say here.
Yeah.
Yeah. that's-
Is there any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I think we have a motion and a second. No further discussion. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Our next item, please.
Item 0393-26, communication requesting any consideration, any formal expression of concern, or other actions pursuant to the police report.
I do have a question on this item. So I guess it's either for Sergeant Ortiz or Attorney Pomplin. So I think it'll come out on the next police report. But so the issue or the incident that happened in my district probably a week ago, the 1100 block of Washington Avenue, I think Select 627 was involved in that. Do we have to wait until the next meeting to call them forward or no?
So I guess there's kind of two parts to the question. I'll let Sergeant Cruz handle the kind of police department perspective on the incident. For our purposes, because it's not in the report and our formal expressions of concern are pulling from the police report, we would want it to be in a report to have it pulled forward. So if it's on the next report, then they could be called in after that.
Interesting, because they'll be in because of the health department next time.
Yes.
So just, in regards to that incident, I've been on days off, I was on days off when that happened. And when I was running the reports, that did come up, but I need to verify that actually did stem from Select 627. I understand that it's right down the street. Reference to businesses that are open, they are one business that's open, but I can't just say, hey, it happened here, so now it's related to you. So I have to make sure that took place. It is maybe a patient that was there. I would have to verify that before I just put it in the report. The investigation is still ongoing, so I can't release many details in reference to that. So for the next report, yes, I will be looking into that to see if it is related to Select 627.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Any other? We done all the praises? Anyone else have any other comments, questions? And I take it, Sergeant Cruz, that there weren't any establishments that stuck out in your mind based on your comments, or were there?
No, like we mentioned, the Taste of Soul had just come up. In reference to the downtown area, we do have some extra attention that are coming out just because when summer's coming is right around the corner. So we want to make sure that they know that we're going to be out and about and make sure that everybody's in compliance and hopefully people can behave. So there will be extra attention. I'm sure there's going to be extra attention at Taste of Soul just because of the call for service and people calling. So if we have anything else, I think maybe at the next meeting, depending on what I have in the report, but there will be extra attention downtown.
Okay, thank you. There are no other questions? I'd like a motion, please. Is there a second motion to receive from the body?
Second.
Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. I will have to go back to the item where the person wasn't here.
0409-26, communication requesting the appearance of Trayvon Dye for a new operator's license.
Now,
No,
this
this
is
is
the
first.
first time he's been asked in, correct? So, okay. Any further questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Well, you still have to put it back on there.
Yeah, but he still gets a chance to come in and speak.
Yeah, he still gets the chance, even though what you
Yeah.
said is accurate, very
That's why I was
accurate.
like,
Yeah.
Sam, use the register number for the honors one from last year. Just do all the notices and all the items exactly the same as
oh,
that.
yeah,
Fine.
so we in.
Because
We've
that was the exact
exhausted our
same with
agenda, the
pulled out
meeting is
different
now
stuff.
over. Our next meeting is June. Why, you were looking at the calendar.
Oh, yeah, I did write it down. No.
June 10th.
June 10th.
Because I was trying to-
Just FYI for everyone, so the next meeting I will not be in attendance. I'll be in the woods, so y'all pray for me.
Yep,
Well, you take care, be safe,
yes.
Thank you.
and thanks for your service to our country.
Appreciate you.